Radio Woodstock 100.1. Thank you, Warren Haynes, Government Mule, and Soulshine. That goes all the way, almost back to the very beginning. That goes back to Mountain Jam 2 in 2006, 10 years ago. We heard Amy Helm doing a version of the band's It Makes No Difference, and we started off with the Avett Brothers and I and Love and You from one of their two previous appearances here at Mountain Jam. They're going to wrap up the festival at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening. It's Jimmy Buff, it's Lenny Block, and it's Nahko. Hi, Nahko.
Hey, aloha.
Welcome to Mountain Jam.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You have your band Medicine for the People performing at 2:15 this afternoon. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What type of medicine shall we expect?
Oh, the kind of medicine that moves you, empowers you, touches your soul, makes you think, stuff like that.
You know, the people need medicine right now.
I would buy I'd buy all that, yeah.
Man, we always need medicine.
We do.
Yeah. But in this contentious day and age, it seems like we need it just a little bit more.
Yeah. A little push into the next realm. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your past and your family and
sure.
Where you came from?
Well, I came from Mars.
Okay.
It's great there. You should try it. It's cool. Flights are cheap. Mm-hmm. But I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, and my family's from all around the world, Puerto Rican, Native American, Filipino, Chamorro, and I was raised by a totally different family. I was adopted when I was very young, but all of that kind of backstory definitely tells itself through a lot of my music, and makes up the message that I have in our movement.
You know, I hope that 200 years from now, everyone's background is like that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Comes from all sorts of different ways. Because it seems like that would heal a lot of what ails us too, right?
Yeah, the type of storytelling that I love is those kinds of artists and storytellers that look at their personal journey to identity and to learning how to walk in this world of crazy times, and able to share that, and those are the kinds of things that we all relate to, I think that I would also say there's a resurgence of that in some ways, where there's a way that there's so many storytellers that are becoming more aware of that gift they have, and being able to come into this kind of a scene and share those stories.
It is kind of like a sixth sense that maybe we all have, but we're not in touch with. And you found a way to tap into that.
Yeah.
Musically and spiritually. And from every level.
Yeah. I just drove around the country a lot.
Which is a great thing to do because people don't do that. And when you do that, what you realize is that most of us have the same desires and same wants and needs.
Absolutely.
And where it can get portrayed as adversarial a lot, and the divide can be us versus them. But when you go around the country, you find out that people are just people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people still believe in a sense of democracy.
Yeah.
And I think that even when I was younger, and trying to understand, where we had come from and where we were going, being able to see the faces of the people in the country that, are hardworking, people that really care about each other, and these little communities that are so strong, So yeah, I think you could probably find that here at Mountain Jam.
Growing up in Portland, Oregon, what kind of music were you exposed to? What were you listening to as a kid?
I was listening to everything from church music because I grew up very conservative Christian. And so the only music that actually I was allowed to listen to growing up was like old school hymns. And then I was playing piano at 6, so I was learning like classical and jazz, all that stuff. But my dad when my mom wasn't around, would let me listen to like oldies music, but the classics like Seeger, Peter, Paul and Mary, Dylan, Beatles, all that stuff, So those were kind of like those were the mentors in time. And actually, when my father passed away about 5 years ago, I was able to, 3 years later, I met Peter Yarrow, and then for the last 3 years, he's kind of been like a mentor. And so when I met him, I was like, yo, Peter, my dad's probably like rolling over in his grave right now that I'm like hanging out with you.
It's amazing because Peter Yarrow has a very strong connection to Woodstock and to Radio Woodstock. And it was Peter Yarrow who came to Woodstock for the first time and then brought a guy named Albert Grossman, who was managing a young guy named Bob Dylan, who brought him to Woodstock. Yeah. And then the music scene in Woodstock was off and running. Yeah. Now, growing up in that kind of household, two things come to mind. Yeah. Is one, you're exposed to really cool, spiritual, good music, live music.
Yeah.
And it also fosters a sense of rebellion because at some point
Absolutely.
you're going to bust out and
Yeah.
say, "Oh my goodness, this is the Clash.
Yeah.
This is Led Zeppelin."
Yeah.
And
No.
you've got that background in the
Yeah.
traditional, but now you can go crazy with it.
Yeah, when I discovered Nirvana, it was done, you know,
Yeah.
and then it was Broken Social Scene and Ward and Wilco and Bright Eyes. You know, those were the bands that really like started to shape my desire to like leave that whole past behind. And then I got a job in Alaska, and then I started reading Kerouac. You know, it was that whole like thing. And then I saw a bear, and then I got
You've
chased by
got the
moose.
perfect resume.
Did you read On the
You
Road
saw-
in one sitting?
Oh yeah, totally, in a whole day.
Well, it was written
is.
in one
It was
sit.
written
You know,
in
it was
one
written on
sitting, yeah.
one continuous scroll.
Yeah.
And I think the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, one of them, bought it for $2 million a few years ago. Yeah.
What?
What kind of bear did you see?
Oh, it was a grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we get black bear occasionally, you'll see them across the
Oh, cool.
slope. So maybe if
They
you're
want to
lucky,
come hang out and listen to music too.
Yeah, you see them in the beer tents early in the
I
morning.
invited them actually. I tweeted them. And I
Good.
said, "Hey, Black Bears, you know we're 215. You know, come check it out." They didn't reply, but they retweeted.
That's awesome.
So
we're talking to
enough.
Nahko, whose band Nahko and the Medicine for the People is at 2:15 this afternoon on the mountain stage, the big mountain stage. Have you played on a stage that large before?
Maybe not that tall.
Not that. Yeah, it is kind of
It's
tall.
very tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little tall.
We asked them to lower it a little so we could see the mountain better. It didn't
Yeah,
go
for
over
those
well.
behind the
Yeah.
stage, it's just the mountain stage.
Any talk of maybe Warren coming and adding to the Medicine? Is there,
I put it out there that perhaps we could share a dance. I'm not sure.
He's wonderful. He leads. He won't step on your
I
feet.
hope he leads because I'm not sure which what kind of dance we're gonna do.
Right,
but
right.
I'm just gonna put it out there.
Excellent.
If it actually happens, I'm gonna be sweating. Yeah,
So as I said right before we went on the air, that you came highly recommended.
that is. Who does that?
Your people. Who else?
My people.
The
Our
people you're
people.
paying
Our
to
people.
highly
Our people.
recommend you.
our people.
I
Yeah.
hope I can live up to that.
Well, we want to find out because you're new to us and we're discovering you, and
so new.
It's always great. It's always great to meet new friends and to hear great new music. And let's introduce people to some of your music right
Sure.
now. We're going to play a song of yours. It's called San Quentin.
Yeah.
And tell
Awesome.
us about that, and then we'll send you on your way and get ready for your set.
Okay, so San Quentin, long story long, really short version. It is a song of celebration, I guess you could say, about getting to release a wound from the past. The story itself is that in 1994, my father was murdered, and I never met my father, but I was able to go. I had this crazy idea that after 20 years of my father being murdered, that I should go to the prison and actually meet this guy.
Wow.
And somehow I 007'd my way into the prison because I had all odds against me. I didn't have any kind of, prison pass, or whatever. And I was in the middle of a bunch of other things, but I ended up getting in there, and it could have gone either way. He could have been a really mean fella after 20 years in prison, but in fact he held such an amazing space for me. In fact, I was his first visitor in 20 years. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
That is
and
really-
when I met him and I told him that I was the son of this man that he'd killed, we both cried. We cried a lot actually. And then he told me what had happened, and he'd actually never been given the opportunity to tell anybody what actually happened. And there was drugs involved and but it was beautiful, and it was a release for me, because I walked out of that prison feeling like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. And the irony of that story actually is that through my example of forgiveness, my family was able to forgive him as well, and they granted him parole after 20 years. And on the same day, on Christmas Day, when he killed my dad, 20 years later, he was released from prison, 6 months after I met him, and deported back to the Philippines.
That's a stunning
So
story.
the story will
Yeah.
eventually finish because I'm going to go to the Philippines and find him. Because what he told me in the prison was, he said, if I ever get out of here, which at the time I was like, there's no way, He's like, if I ever get out of here, he's like, I want to take you fishing. Because that's what my father did, and your father never got to do anything with you. So I'd like to do that for you as a thing.
gift?
Yeah, as a gift.
Yeah.
What an amazing gift for you and your family, and it would be right and understandable if you didn't care that it was a gift for him either, but it sounds like it was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
Amazing. Nahko and Medicine for the People, 2:15 on the mountain stage in just a little while. We'll play that song right now. It's called San Quentin.
Now I'm the pain. Am I just another runaway? Run away when shadows creep across my floor. A shape, a pose, get lost in X-ray histories, bright lights, crystal submarine. She's in the water